In 2006, the acting offers had all but dried up, and Valerie Bertinelli's career and life were at a crossroads. The former teenage star of 70s hit sitcom One Day at a Time was recovering from the dissolution of her 21-year marriage to rock icon Eddie Van Halen. Valerie locked herself inside her Southern California home. She had no work, no husband, and with nothing to occupy her mind, she was piling on the pounds.
She was really becoming a bit of a recluse, that she was avoiding going out and avoiding doing interviews because she knew that the tabloids would be there trying to photograph her in an unflattering light, and you know, what woman wouldn't feel the same exact way?
It's so hard when the public remembers you as looking a certain way and you don't look like that anymore to go out in public. She's talked about how humiliating it is to be in the supermarket and there'll be some woman tapping her husband on the shoulder saying, "Hey, that's Valerie Bertinelli," and the husband says, "Oh, I didn't know she was so fat."
That was as bad as it was going to get for Valerie. It was never going to be drugs or booze or screwing around on her husband. Obesity was it, and you knew that was going to be it. She was too nice and sweet to have any more than that.
Valerie stopped granting interviews, stopped going to movie premieres, and eventually, she nearly stopped going out altogether. What she did not stop doing was trying to figure out how to control her weight. On many occasions, Valerie drove past the Jenny Craig Weight Loss Center.
I drove by their center a million times, it seems like, and I saw what a wonderful job Kristy did in her go at it. I mean, she looks phenomenal now, and she had a great time doing it. She did it with humor, and I thought, I want to do this. And when they called, it's like, oh my God, they know I'm fat too.
In April 2007, 47-year-old Valerie Bertinelli became the newest spokesperson for the Jenny Craig weight loss program.
I think it's pretty terrifying when celebrities have to say they have any kind of problem, that they're not the perfect star that you thought they were. And certainly when it comes to weight, that's a big deal. To publicly declare, I am going to lose X amount of pounds, that's a lot of pressure.
I think she made a very wise choice to, on the one hand, try to shed some weight that she had gained over the past few years, help others, again, which is sort of like she did on Touched by an Angel, and at the same time, have a way to lose weight and be an inspiration to other women.
Valerie did let herself go, but that is going to help her. That is going to help her now in her revitalization campaign, because 80% of the women in America can probably relate to, I let myself go.
Putting herself in front of millions of women with the same problem, Valerie vowed to lose 6 pounds a month until she had lost a total of 30 pounds.
I think she knew in her heart it was the time that she needed to do something. And she did it in such a beautiful way, so brave. And she just went out there and said, I am overweight. I think she is a terrific role model for young girls who are going through times, who are going through these difficult times of thinking being skinny is a thing. And Valerie proved you don't have to be skinny, but let's be healthy.
So for her to kind of step back into the limelight in this very sympathetic role as someone you can relate to, as someone who faces the same struggles that you do, it was a very smart career move.
She looks fantastic. And that's why casting her for Jenny Craig, an absolutely brilliant, brilliant move, because she's every woman.
Now, with her battle against unwanted weight gain splashed all over the media, Valerie Bertinelli, the perky teenage daughter from One Day at a Time, was once again inspiring and entertaining women all over America.
Valerie has finally moved on. She's got a new love in her life. His name is Tom Vital, and actually her brother set them up. He said, I've met this great guy, you should meet him too. They've been together for about a year or so, and she says that she's really in love. So it does seem that Valerie is entering the second act of her life.
To everyone's amazement, not only has Bertinelli remained close friends with former hubby Van Halen, but she and boyfriend Tom often get together with Van Halen and his girlfriend.
It's terrific, yeah. All the kids are together at Christmas and the summer, and yeah, it's great.
Valerie Bertinelli, the little girl who was picked to star on One Day at a Time simply because she looked like the producer's daughter, has every right to feel good about herself.
Because Valerie is real. She's a wife, she's a mother, she's someone who is relatable. She has always put her family first. She has struggled with her weight. She has struggled with her fame. And she has struggled with being typecast as a goody two-shoes. And through it all, she has said, you know what? This is who I am, and I'm okay with that.
That in the late summer of 2007, Valerie Bertinelli's career rebounded when she starred in Claire, her first time in front of the camera in 4 years. Fans always want to know the intimate details of Hollywood lives. And to answer some of those questions, in 2007, Valerie Bertinelli wrote her autobiography. Entitled Losing It and Gaining My Life Back 1 Pound at a Time, the book covers everything from her 9 years on One Day at a Time to her 21-year marriage to Eddie Van Halen and her lifelong battles with low self-esteem and unwanted weight gain.
This is her second or third act, but there may be 5 acts. I don't necessarily see this as being it. I think she's going to make a comeback, you know, probably in TV somewhere. I could see her being in a sitcom playing the mom.
I think she is gracious, innately gracious, but I think also that she is deeper than most people think she is.
She has really been through the ringer in a lot of ways. I mean, we can all sympathize with everything that she's gone through in her personal life and also the struggles that she's had with her professional life. You don't get to where she is now without fighting and struggling for what's yours. And I think that she will be remembered as a scrappy fighter, somebody who really didn't give up, somebody that probably could have come up with a million excuses and a million reasons to give up and just wasn't going to let that happen.
If there was one word that summed up Valerie, it might be fine. With 3 eyes. Fine.
Despite all of her life's ups and downs, triumphs and trials, Valerie Bertinelli is convinced her life has been blessed, always insisting in dealing candidly with the good times and the bad. Valerie believes in taking one day at a time.
I'm really lucky. Yeah, I can't complain. And if I do, I should slap myself silly.
She was a teen idol.
Going back into the mid-70s, you look, and if you were to turn on any channel, it'd be Kristy McNichol.
She was the all-American girl, apple pie.
A 2-time Emmy-winning actress.
She had success in commercials, she had success on television, success in movies.
All my fans see a person from another world, it seems. But I really want them to see just a normal kid, same as them.
And ultimately, a survivor.
When things fell apart, they fell apart spectacularly in the public eye.
You go downhill and you lose everything.
I'll never forget it. Jojo, it feels like my head is bleeding inside.
It was startling. I think people still to this day are wondering, where is she? What happened? Why did it happen?
In the summer of 1977, at just 14 years old, Kristy McNichol was nominated for an Emmy Award. She had captured the hearts of the nation with her role as Buddy Lawrence, the spunky tomboy on the ABC hit television series, Family.
I bet if you went back and asked hundreds of people what they remember about Family, they would say, Buddy. That's how I remember Buddy.
She just was a magical young woman. She had stardust on her. You can't teach that, and you can't learn that, and she had that.
Then on the night of her 15th birthday, Kristy McNichol won the Emmy Award for Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Drama, beating out such veteran performers as Lee Merriweather of Barnaby Jones and Ellen Corby of The Waltons. It was both a stunning and an emotional win.
First off, I'd like to thank my mom.
She was overwhelmed. She was a kid. And we didn't expect to win any awards. We never thought that Family would ever receive the recognition that it should receive.
She was the youngest one to ever win Best Supporting Actress at that time. I think if you ask anybody in the business, they will tell you she's one of the best that they've ever worked with.
She was a remarkable young actress. She really was. I don't think she had much formal training, if any.
With that Emmy Award, Kristy McNichol became both a respected dramatic actress and a teen idol.
If you were to turn on any channel, it'd be Kristy McNichol. She was everywhere. Kristy was the it girl of the 70s.
People loved her. She wasn't a sex symbol. She was a teen idol because she was so real.
She was the all-American girl, apple pie.
Well, everybody sees, all my fans see a person from another world, it seems. But I really want them to see just a normal kid, same as them.
Her fan mail started arriving in huge sacks. There were so many letters she had to hire additional staff to answer the mail with form letters and machine-signed photographs.
Kids really did relate to her, and she would get maybe 5,000 fan letters a week. And they weren't just, you know, we love your dress. These were fan letters from kids who were pouring out their heart to her about what was going on with them because they could relate to her and her character.
Even stars like Brad Pitt and George Clooney would admit later to Access Hollywood that when they were young, they had childhood crushes on her.
Yeah, I couldn't figure her out, so I sort of dug her. Yeah.
She was mystery.
Yeah.
She had mystery.
She had these big brown eyes that just kind of sucked you in, and she had a charisma about her that you can't teach. You either have it or you don't have it in this industry.
From the beginning of her career, she had success. She had success in commercials, she had success on television, success in movies.
Kristy McNichol had it all at a very young age. Fame, success, money, and talent. Few could imagine the struggles that lay ahead.
Her image at the time was that she was an excellent actress, fragile, interesting, and had a lot of depth. She seemed so different from all the other teenagers on television.
What happened after Family was unfortunate. I think if she had gone on a different road or been helped along a different road, she would have won even greater acclaim because she had all the talent in the world.
She had the normal ups and downs, but what was happening was, if you looked at a chart, it was going up, 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 up in increments, and then suddenly, just at the height of her career, where was she? Everything in her life seemed to go wrong.
Kristy McNichol began her life as Christina Ann McNichol in Los Angeles, where she was born on September 11, 1962.
Her father was a carpenter, and her mom was actually an aspiring actress. Her parents divorced when she was only 3 years old.
At the age of 22, Mom Carolyn McNichol had the responsibility of taking care of 3 small children. Jimmy, only 14 months older than Kristy, and their younger brother, Tommy.
What Carolyn decided was to keep Kristy and Jimmy. She sent Tommy away to go live with their grandmother. What she was really facing was a lot of financial difficulties, and it was only feasible for her to be taking care of 2 of them.
Growing up, Kristy reportedly didn't see much of her father, except on special occasions, birthdays, Thanksgiving, or Christmas.
She didn't have a father figure, but she had a mom that was constantly there for her. This was the greatest influence in her life.
Carol Lynn was a pretty, struggling actress who worked as a secretary at the renowned talent agency William Morris.
She wanted to be in show business, she wanted to act, and she'd go on auditions, and a lot of the time she had to bring the kids along with her.
And so they just kind of watched and observed at a very young age, and then they saw their children doing what I did, and then they wanted to do what I did.
And suddenly the casting directors were much more interested in Kristy than they were in her mother. So the mother put her in commercials.
Carol Lynn encouraged Kristy and Jimmy to perform, a pastime captured on these home movies. She realized she could parlay her children's natural talent and love of acting into potential financial security for the whole family. She gave up her acting career and went to work full-time as Jimmy and Kristy's business manager.
Kristy went to her first audition, and the Kraft cheese people asked all the little girls, what did they have for lunch? And one girl said ham sandwich, and another girl said peanut butter. And what does Kristy say? Even though she doesn't like cheese, she says, I had a cheese sandwich.
Kristy made commercials from then on, selling everything from Hostess Twinkies to McDonald's hamburgers, eventually appearing in over 50 commercials.
It was Kristy who had that star potential, and she had that spark, and she had to be a little trooper from the very beginning.
In 1973, at the age of 11, she got her first TV role on the popular Love, American Style. Then a year later, she landed her first series on Apple's Way, playing the role of precocious daughter Patricia Apple from 1974 to 1975.
It wasn't a series that lasted long, but it was a series that put her on the map. People saw her, they noticed her.
She started popping up in guest roles on TV shows like Starsky and Hutch, The Bionic Woman, and 2 ABC after-school specials.
She was like the girl next door, the girl on the bike, the girl with the pony, the girl who saved the deer.
Kristy was cast as a vulnerable and almost feisty young girl that came from a dysfunctional family. She was essentially playing herself. Kristy and her mother were functional but also dysfunctional at the same time.
Sometimes they're more like sisters than mom and daughter, but they have an extremely, extremely close relationship.
All of a sudden, when her career took off, there was this role reversal. And Kristy even said, you know what, I feel like I'm the mom and you're the child.
She didn't have the most stable family life, and so much was thrust upon her. She became the breadwinner for her whole family.
And when those things happen, by the way, it often skews a family in a way that can never be refixed, because the child becomes the parent because she's the breadwinner. It just turns a family upside down.
The pressures of her childhood drew Kristy closer to her older brother Jimmy, both off camera and on. From the start, they acted in commercials together.
They both grew up in the entertainment business.
In 1976, Kristy and Jimmy starred together in an ABC after-school special entitled Me and Dad's New Wife. But Kristy was steadily getting more job offers than her brother.
She was working all the time. I think in the world's terms of going to regular school and making friends and going to the prom and hanging out with your friends at the football games, she didn't have that.
It would be years later that Kristy's lack of a normal childhood would come back to haunt her.
While I was building my friendships, my family, while I was building my life, my high cholesterol was contributing to plaque buildup in my arteries. That's why my doctor prescribed Crestor. She said plaque buildup in arteries is a real reason to lower cholesterol. And that, along with diet, Crestor does more than lower bad cholesterol. It raises good. Crestor is also proven to slow the buildup of plaque in arteries. Crestor isn't for everyone, like people with liver disease or women who are nursing pregnant or may become pregnant. Simple blood tests will check for liver problems. You should tell your doctor about other medicines you are taking, or if you have muscle pain or weakness. That could be a sign of serious side effects. While you've been building your life, plaque may have been building in your arteries. Ask your doctor if Crestor can help, and go to Crestor.com to get a free trial offer.
If you can't afford your medication, AstraZeneca may be able to help.
New Kenmore Elite Multi-Motion Washer. How does that work?
Hit it! The other machines only go in circles. This Kenmore Elite has multi-motions for custom clean. It scrubs to help lift stains, rolls to wash gently, swings, steps, and tumbles.
Better than just circles. What? Sorry.
Introducing the first and only multi-motion washer from Kenmore. Get 50% off all Kenmore wall ovens. Thank you for making Sears Energy Star Partner of the Year. Sears, life well spent.
Your new Energy Star qualified Kenmore Elite is ready to go.
So, you're just gonna dump the old one into the ocean somewhere?
Dylan?
Actually, Dylan, Sears joined forces with the EPA to make sure it's recycled the right way.
That's rad.
It is rad. It's called responsible appliance disposal.
So it's rad literally?
Literally.
Sears, the only retailer recognized by the EPA for responsible appliance disposal. Get 50% off all Kenmore wall ovens. Thank you for making Sears Energy Star Partner of the Year. Sears, life well spent.
Millions have lost weight on the South Beach Diet, and now it's supercharged for even faster weight loss at southbeachdiet.com.
I get to eat delicious food while losing weight.
SouthBeachDiet.com makes it so easy to lose weight.
With South Beach Diet Supercharged, you'll rev up your metabolism so you'll lose weight even faster.
It's the easiest and the most delicious diet I've ever been on.
I've lost 33 pounds.
Go to southbeachdiet.com today and start losing weight with 7 days of the new South Beach Diet Supercharged absolutely free.
Weight loss, it's one of the many ways to fight osteoarthritis pain. For more information on managing pain, go to fightarthritispain.org.
After starring in dozens of commercials and landing a starring role in the TV series Apple's Way, young Kristy McNichol had her sights set on furthering her career. It was 1973, and the producing team of Aaron Spelling and Leonard Goldberg already had 2 hit shows on the air, Starsky and Hutch and Charlie's Angels.
One night, Aaron and I were having dinner together, and I said, you know, there's no show on television that just deals with the everyday problems of a family. Nobody gets kidnapped, nobody gets shot, nobody gets raped. Wouldn't it be nice to just do a show about a family? And that's how it all began, from that evening's conversation.
The ABC series Family followed the saga of the Lawrence family. At the age of 11, Kristy McNichol auditioned for the part of the youngest daughter, Letitia Lawrence, the pubescent all-American tomboy nicknamed Buddy.
All these young actresses came in, and there were many, many good ones. But once Kristy came in, there was nobody else. She walked in, read, and she was Buddy. That was it. I wish everything were that easy.
Seda Thompson and James Broderick were cast as Kristy's parents. Meredith Baxter Burney was older sister Nancy, and Gary Frank played brother Willie. But when the show debuted in March 1976, it soon became apparent that it was Kristy McNichol as Buddy who was the most popular with audiences.
Because Buddy was such a popular character, the network was always pushing us to do more Buddy shows and less of the other shows featuring the other characters.
She was this sort of wisp of a teenage girl with this kind of androgynous casing, but she was so riveting in her performances.
She was every girl. That was her appeal, I think. She was straightforward, she was vulnerable, she got into trouble. She was the girl next door, the girl down the block.
Well, I remember going over to visit her at Family, and they called her to come to the set. And she ran to the set, sat down, and in a matter of seconds, she was crying, which was required for that scene.
I thought you wanted to know. I thought it was helping you.
Maybe the best way you can help me is just to stay the hell out of my life.
Seda Thompson, who was the queen of the American theater at that time, said to me that she was the most naturally gifted, untrained actress she had ever worked with.
Kristy's acting ability also caught the attention of actor and director Burt Reynolds. In 1978, after watching her performances on Family, he cast her as his daughter in her first feature film, The End.
He once said that his only regret was that he couldn't act with Kristy McNichol every day of the year.
Kristy was becoming so popular, her mother Carol Lynn went to the show's producers for more money.
Carolyn was the archetype of a stage mom, and she really watched out for what she thought was the best for her daughter, and she wanted to make sure that her daughter was getting paid what she deserved.
Carol Lynn doubled Kristy's salary on Family, from $7,500 to $15,000 an episode.
That was a huge jump, and that put her up with the top people in television. I know it's hard to believe today, but in those days, that was a huge amount of money.
Carol Lynn invested Kristy's money in real estate, buying up rental properties in the Los Angeles area. She moved herself and the kids into a bigger family home with a swimming pool and tennis court in Tarzana, California.
And there was always a demand for more and more money. And I remember at one point, I called Kristy, and I said, Kristy, we got to talk about this. And I heard such pain in her voice, because in the background I heard people yelling, you got to get more money, you got to get more money, you got to get more money, to a 15-year-old kid. And she said, I'm really sorry, could we talk about this tomorrow?
The producers were so concerned Kristy would leave the show to do other projects, as Farrah Fawcett had done on Charlie's Angels. In the 4th season of Family, they cast Quinn Cummings as the Lawrences' adopted daughter, Annie. Kristy didn't leave Family, but she was in demand everywhere.
Going back into the mid-70s, you look, and if you were to turn on any channel, it'd be Kristy McNichol.
She had guest roles on The Bionic Woman. She was on several episodes of Starsky and Hutch, and she appeared on The Love Boat, where she had her first on-screen kiss with Scott Baio.
It was their first on-screen kiss, but also These kids were dating off-screen. They'd already kissed each other before.
Kristy also briefly dated fellow child star Leif Garrett, who played her boyfriend on Family.
You have a boyfriend?
Yeah.
You do?
I have a few, but no, not a few.
One?
Couple. Two.
Two?
I see two. I don't get real heavy with, boys. I think I have a lot of time for that later.
That's very unusual for somebody your age.
I know, but I'm real busy, and I don't think it's fair to them.
Kristy was busy winning her second Emmy Award in 1979 for Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Drama for Family. She was also appearing on The Mike Douglas Show, The Carpenter's Christmas Special, and ABC Celebrity Sports Competitions.
It was interesting because she was so athletic. And, once she beat Bruce Jenner skateboarding, and she beat out Robert Conrad kayaking.
One guy Kristy never competed against was her older brother Jimmy. He had been very successful in commercials, but he wanted his own TV series too. His dream came true when he landed the role of Harry Baker on Little House on the Prairie in 1974.
Jimmy McNichol was definitely being marketed as being the next David Cassidy. There was a lot of hope in the 70s that he was going to be the next big one.
But Jimmy was written out of the show because he fooled around too much on set. In 1977, he got another chance when he landed a lead in the TV series The Fitzpatricks, but the show only lasted one season. Finally, in 1978, Jimmy became host of his own syndicated talk show, Hollywood Teen.
She was a teen idol, he was a teen idol. They recorded records together.
Brother and sister issued a pop rock album entitled Kristy and Jimmy McNichol, which bubblegummed into Billboard's Top 100 and was launched by RCA at Manhattan's Studio 54.
She was always the star, and it doesn't seem to have hurt their relationship. And it's possible that he was somewhat shielded because she was so successful that she had to carry the load, and he never did.
Family ran for 5 seasons from 1976 to 1980, the year Kristy turned 18 years old. She grew up in front of the camera as Buddy.
Do you wish that you could grow up a little bit more privately?
Sometimes. But this is the career I chose, and I love it so much, and I feel that the public is worth doing this for.
Looking back, Kristy reported one of the most difficult aspects of her career was keeping up with the break speed pace and what she felt to be a lack of control. She also felt the strain of taking care of her own family.
We knew the strain that was on her. We talked about it. Well, the show is one thing. You're talking about a young girl's life. What could we do about it? When she came to work, she either was able to put it aside or she hid it very well.
With Kristy, any regrets as you watched her grow up and become a star and work so successfully?
I think she gave up a lot of her childhood, and I do regret that. I didn't know that at the time.
No one knew just how much the stress of being a star would affect Kristy.
She was hugely successful, and then when things fell apart, they fell apart spectacularly in the public eye.
A biography special featuring an exclusive interview with Eddie Murphy.
I'll give you $1 for every minute that you can stay on stage. You come work my club. I rode the train home in my makeup, like excited, like people were gonna know that I was on TV. 48 hours. That was the beginning of an adventure.
Eddie Murphy, tonight at 9. Only on Bio.
By the rocks, right there.
I get really scared. They'd follow me down the hallway.
When I first saw her, I woke up with my back burning. There was 4 scratches across my back.
Watch it!
The Psychic Kids Marathon starts Saturday at 8, only on Bio. True story.
Why do women like you love Activia Light?
Sometimes I have no choice but to eat on the run and to eat whatever happens to be around. Heavy, greasy food that's hard on my diet and my digestive system. So I eat Activia Light every day.
Activia Light with Bifidus regularis is clinically proven to help regulate your digestive system.
The new taste is better than ever. And with only 70 calories, Activia Light helps make it easier to watch my weight. It helps me feel good and look good too.
Activia!
Take care of your engine.
and it'll go far. One way I can take care of my engine, one-a-day Men's, a complete multivitamin for my overall health. Plus, now it supports my heart health and helps maintain healthy blood pressure.
Whoa.
Kinda makes your heart race, huh?
New Ken Morley multi-motion washer. How does that work?
Hit it! See, other machines only go in circles. This Kenmore Elite has multi-motions for custom clean. It scrubs to help lift stains, rolls to wash gently, swings, steps, and tumbles.
Better than just circles. What? Sorry.
Introducing the first and only multi-motion washer from Kenmore. Get 50% off all Kenmore wall ovens. Thank you for making Sears Energy Star Partner of the Year. Sears, life well spent.
Question: what's the best way to deal with a yeast infection? First, make sure it is one. 2 out of 3 women who think they have a yeast infection don't.
How can I know?
The Vagisil Screening Kit tests for infections at home. The Vagisil Screening Kit, the answer you can count on.
1-800-Flowers.com is on a mission to celebrate all moms this Mother's Day. So give something special to your mom and all the other moms you know. Because every mom counts.
Spot the moms in your life and give them that warm, fuzzy feeling. It's easy with gifts starting at $19.99.
Call or click 1-800-Flowers.com today.
A guy named his own price wants a room tonight for $65.
We don't go lower than $130.
Big deal? Persuade.
Okay, $65 for tonight.
You can't argue with a big deal.
And you can get a big deal on last-minute flights, too. While everyone else's prices are on the rise, Priceline finds the empty seats to save you up to 50% off published fares when you name your own price. Big last-minute savings from the home of the big deal.
In 1980, 18-year-old Kristy McNichol lost her starring role as Buddy Lawrence when the TV series Family ended its 5-season run.
I think of everyone connected with the show. I think she suffered the greatest loss when Family ended, because that basically was her family. The people who were on the show and the people who did the show, who were always very mindful of Kristy and supportive of Kristy.
As soon as she turned 18, you know, she moved out, which I didn't want her to do, and I think that she was too young.
Kristy moved into her own 4-bedroom home near West Hollywood. People magazine reported that Ina Liberace, the niece of the famous pianist, was her roommate. Rumors began to fly about their relationship. Kristy reported Ina was a friend.
She said that she was not gay. This is part of Hollywood. This is what happens. You become famous and rumors come out about you.
As the rumors swirled about Kristy's real-life sexual orientation, on camera, she was eager to break out of her tomboy image.
Well, a lot of people look at me as the all-American tomboy, you know,
and you're
family
not.
girl. Well, I'm all-American, sure, but I don't know. I was wanting to get out of the tomboy casting. I'm growing up, so I've got to grow up on the screen too.
In the 1980 teen sex movie Little Darlings, Kristy changed the way audiences perceived her.
The Little Darlings, opposite Tatum O'Neal, the premise is that they bet each other who's going to lose their virginity first. And Kristy wins. She loses her virginity to Matt Dillon. She wasn't a vamp. She wasn't Jodie Foster in Taxi Driver. This was a very real look at women's sexuality.
Making love is... It's different than what I thought it was gonna be.
It was during the filming of Little Darlings that Kristy became friendly with her hairstylist, Giuseppe Franco. A cover story in Us magazine stated he was her live-in lover.
It stated that Kristy McNichol sheds her tomboy image for a live-in lover. I don't have a live-in lover.
Giuseppe and Kristy McNichol were never boyfriend and girlfriend, but we will always and always will be brother and sister.
Little Darlings made over $34 million, one of the year's highest-grossing movies. Kristy was nominated for a Young Artist Award for Best Young Actress in a Motion Picture.
In the early 80s, film roles were rolling in. Film roles were rolling in. She couldn't make enough time to fit all the movies in, plus appearances.
This has to be considered the year for young Kristy McNichol. Only 18 years old, Kristy is now considered a $1 million property. She's landed a plum role in Neil Simon's newest movie, Only When I Laugh.
There's a lot of things in this script that remind me of the way my mother and I are.
She's a daughter taking care of Marsha Mason. I think that this was a movie that allowed her to channel the hurt that she felt about taking care of a good-time mother.
Only When I Laugh grossed over $25 million and was 31st on the list of the 50 highest-grossing movies in 1981. Kristy was nominated for a Golden Globe Award for Best Performance by an Actress in a Supporting Role.
Kristy was the third highest paid actress in the industry, all based on her talent.
In 1982, not yet out of her teens, Kristy McNichol was enjoying one of the most successful careers in Hollywood. But her star status would soon take an unexpected plunge when she accepted the leading role in the movie White Dog.
A very controversial movie, a very interesting movie in which, you know, America's sweetheart, Kristy McNichol, plays someone who runs over a dog, befriends it, and then only belatedly discovers that the dog has been trained to attack African Americans.
Word of the movie's plotline offended so many people, the studio yanked the film. It was not released in the United States.
When White Dog was released in Europe, it was actually hailed by critics as being a think piece. And Kristy says that this is a movie that was actually anti-racism.
Kristy was hopeful that her next movie would be a hit. In 1982, she starred in the pirate movie.
I'm doing a movie called Pirates, based on the idea of pirates and Penzance, but it's not anything like it. It's not anything like the play. Like the music. Right. It's different. It's really funny. It's like nowadays.
20th Century Fox poured money into this mega production. It was the most expensive movie ever filmed in Australia.
Kristy plays Mabel, a character that falls asleep on an island and ends up on a pirate ship, and she falls in love with teen heartthrob Christopher Atkins of Blue Lagoon fame.
Ole!
Touche! Touche!
Some people have said it's the worst movie ever made, but they haven't seen Ishtar, or they wouldn't say that.
The pirate movie bombed at the box office, grossing just under $8 million.
The pirate movie didn't win an Oscar, but it definitely was nominated for a lot of Razzies.
It swept the Razzie Awards, winning Worst Director and Worst Musical Score. Kristy was nominated for Worst Actress. However, in recent years, it has been given an almost cult-like status.
The pattern that Kristy found herself with her career and the reviews was that oftentimes her talent was just so much better than the movies she chose.
I was disappointed in whether they were her choices or someone else's choices. Nonetheless, that's the path she went on.
Soon after the pirate movie, Kristy's personal and professional life fell apart.
You know, one minute you can be very successful, and a couple of years later, everyone goes through a point where sometimes they're not doing as well as when they were. And that's kind of scary, in a way, because you don't ever want to think of stopping. Big stars kill themselves, the whole thing. I mean, you get all into it, and you don't, you know, you go downhill and you lose everything or something, and they want to just jump off the deep end.
Thursday on Biography.
The flicking the hair and the tongue and the wrists.
As far as Sonny was concerned, I was his complete creation.
She reinvented herself.
She's the age she is, and she could wear that rock on.
Before Britney, before Madonna, there was only Cher.
Cher on Biography. Thursday at 9, only on Bio.
Hands touch some germy stuff, and those germs can end up on your soap pump. Fact: your soap pump can harbor hundreds of bacteria. Introducing the new Lysol No-Touch Hand Soap System. It senses hands and dispenses soap that kills 99.9% of bacteria to help stop the spread of germs. Plus, it's enriched with moisturizing ingredients, all to help keep your hands healthy. The Lysol No-Touch Hand Soap System. Never touch a germy soap pump again.
Get it saucy! Boston Market is kicking up the flavor of its signature rotisserie chicken with 5 new zesty sauces, from heat to sweet. Sauce it your way. It's free. Get it saucy. Only at Boston Market.
Desperate for nighttime heartburn relief? For many, Nexium helps relieve heartburn symptoms caused by acid reflux disease. And for the majority of patients with prescription coverage for Nexium, it can cost $30 or less per month. Headache, diarrhea, and abdominal pain are possible side effects of Nexium. Other serious stomach conditions may still exist. Ask your doctor if Nexium can help relieve your heartburn symptoms. If you can't afford your medication, AstraZeneca may be able to help.
There's a place called Hidden Valley, where kids not only eat their vegetables, they can't get enough. Hidden Valley Ranch makes vegetables delectable.
Discover 4 new ways to make vegetables delectable with Farmhouse Originals from Hidden Valley.
Roundup Extended Control does 2 jobs at once. 1. Kills weeds to the root. 2. Forms a barrier, preventing new ones for up to 4 months. Roundup Extended Control.
The Craftsman Hammerhead, the only auto hammer worthy of the Craftsman name. Engineered to drive home nails with the touch of a button. More innovation, more great values. Craftsman, trust in your hands.
She can carry a conversation, whether it's the economy or world politics. I feel that part of that challenges me as an individual.
Intellect. Just one of the 29 dimensions of compatibility we use to match you at eharmony.com. Get started today.
In the fall of 1982, Kristy McNichol had just turned 20 years old. She was one of the highest-paid female stars, commanding $1.6 million per film, but she was feeling the pressure. Her last few movies had been box office disappointments.
She's coming off a string of flops. She's already worried about keeping her career and how much she's sacrificed for it. She has put her entire life at this point into this career of being a child and then a teen star.
And now, she was set to star in the light romance film, Just the Way You Are.
She didn't want to do the movie, probably ill-advised, pushed into doing the movie.
And on the first day of shooting, we were driving to the set. Kristy said, I can't remember my lines at all. Kristy had a photographic memory. She could read a script once and never have to pick it up again, basically. She couldn't remember her lines, so we had to put them on cards so she could read them. And so we obviously knew there was a problem.
And I said, you'll be okay. It'll be fine. You'll be okay. We went on like that for a little bit.
In the movie, Kristy plays Susan Berlinger, a crippled woman who has had to wear a leg brace since childhood. While vacationing in France, she convinces a doctor to put a cast over her brace in order to hide her deformity.
So it would appear to be a skiing accident, and therefore she could go to parties and not being treated in a different way than just normally. And I thought this was a really good role for Chris.
Don't you see? If you help me with this, I can be like a lot of other people there. And that's why this was such a good idea, but it's just not sounding so good right now. All right, I'm finished. You can talk now.
Kristy had always coped with the demands of being a star and was praised as a pro. But as filming continued, she became increasingly anxious and depressed.
The headaches started happening, and things were not feeling right for her.
She started to have these symptoms where she thought, you know, she had blood in her brain, or there's this rushing in her brain.
I'll never forget it. Georgia, it feels like my head is bleeding inside.
Kristy said she felt totally out of control. She lost her appetite and complained of terrible nightmares.
She would wake up sobbing in the morning, and she had no idea what was wrong with her.
Let's say 5 in the morning. We would meet for hair and makeup before we go on the set. I'd always say, Cree, why are you crying? And, you know, this is maybe the first day, but after the 10th or 8th, why, honey? And it's, you know, I don't know. That's the worst.
During the film's Christmas hiatus, with only 17 days left to go of filming, Kristy announced she could not continue and quit the movie.
The movie, my concern is, what's wrong with my Cree? What's wrong?
Kristy was examined by doctors at UCLA Medical Center in Los Angeles.
The CAT scans revealed absolutely nothing. Her brain was not bleeding.
The doctors finally arrived at a diagnosis. Kristy was suffering from manic depression, otherwise known as bipolar disorder.
Bipolar affective disorder is a condition which is characterized by two different types of episode. The person suffers from depressive episodes in which they have low mood, they don't enjoy things, they have trouble sleeping, they have changes in their appetite. In addition, the person who's bipolar will also have episodes where they have elevated mood, either manic or hypomanic episodes.
Is there any flaw? Is there anything you'd like to change about yourself?
To not be so energetic sometimes, because I can't sit still sometimes very long. I'm a very energetic person.
You're a
and sometimes I get crazy.
They had to give her lithium that took the highs and lows out of her personality to give her kind of balance.
One of the things that's very, very difficult to control in bipolar disorder is the depression.
Unresolved questions Kristy had begun asking herself had plunged her into a deep depression. She kept her illness quiet and did not speak about it to the media. Later, she reported she was having a delayed reaction to the high-pressure years of child stardom.
And as she started to talk to a psychiatrist, the hurt and pain from her early life and from keeping it together for so very long started to come out.
I think it really does catch up. Some kids are lucky, but almost 90% of the kids who start in show business early either have severe problems or end up leaving.
The more stress a person has when they're growing up, the more difficulties they encounter, the more vulnerable they'll be to showing the symptoms.
Coming from a broken home, not having a childhood, all the ups and downs of her career, and not feeling in control of her life, Kristy reported to People magazine, all of that is enough to make you crack.
It is possible that if she had not been exposed to any stressors, she would not have manifested the disease. It's impossible to know.
The official studio explanation for why Kristy walked off the movie was that she was suffering from a chemical imbalance. Reports in People magazine alluded to rumors she was a drug addict or an alcoholic.
Same thing Lindsay Lohan's going through now. Different era, except Chris doesn't do drugs. No matter what anybody tells you, she never drank, never did pills.
It was more difficult in the early 80s for an actor to admit that they suffered from any kind of a problem because that would have been a terrible stigma. Nowadays, it's almost, I want to have that too, you know. I'm an alcoholic in addition to being depressed. Did you know that?
I mean, nowadays, people like Carrie Fisher is so out in the open. Bipolar is something that people accept today.
With medical supervision and the support of her family, Kristy began a slow recovery.
It was startling. I think people still to this day are wondering, where is she? What happened? Why did it happen? And why couldn't she come back from it?
By the rocks, right there.
I'm scared! I get really scared. They'd follow me down the hallway. When I first saw her, I woke up with my back burning. There was 4 scratches across my back.
Watch out!
The Psychic Kids Marathon starts Saturday at 8, only on Bio. True story.
Cigarette. 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 Cigarettes. Cigarette. Cigarette.
Quitting sucks. The new Nicorette mini lozenge dissolves up to 3 times faster to make it suck less, helping you quit 1 cigarette at a time.
The Craftsman Cordless Multi-Tool. The power and versatility of 6 tools packed into one. More innovation, more great values. Craftsman, trust in your hands.
Still cleansing with all this? Try this.
New Skin Renew Brusher Gel Cleanser. Gentle exfoliating brush. Works with a nutrient-infused gel for 2 times cleaner, smoother, radiant skin.
That's the difference the brusher makes.
New Brusher Gel Cleanser.
In this little jar is intense skin nourishment just for us.
Introducing new Age Perfect Hydra Nutrition. For the first time, L'Oreal combines nutrient complex with fortifying calcium in a luxurious cream.
Look how velvety rich, it just kind of melts right in.
Now nourish skin to help fight sagging. You'll see firmer, more toned, resilient skin.
So here's the truth. Better nourished skin means better looking skin.
And we're worth it. New Age Perfect Hydra Nutrition by L'Oreal.
Hi, I'm Amy. I have a husband and 2 boys. That is 3 guys and a lot of laundry. I was given the Bounce Dryer Bar, asked to use it and answer a few questions. I noticed it was the original Bounce smell, which was so great because it's clean and fresh and it's just really light and I just love it. To install the Bounce Dryer Bar was so easy. Just stick it and forget it. You don't have to remember the dryer sheet now. It's one more thing I don't have to think about. I love it.
The Bounce Dryer Bar gives you automatic freshness and satisfaction guaranteed, or we'll give you your money back.
On January 12th, a massive earthquake ravaged Haiti's capital, but there's still so much to do. Please join the Clinton Bush Haiti Fund and other organizations as we answer the call to help Haiti build back better. Thank you.
As a real estate agent, I use Febreze to prep my houses for sale. I also use it in my house. It removes odors of sports, teenagers. I would not want to face a week without Febreze Fabric Refresher.
By the age of 20, Kristy McNichol was already a film and television star. But in 1982, her career came to an abrupt halt. After she quit the movie Just the Way You Are, she was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. She spent the rest of the year getting the right balance of medication and learning how to live with her devastating illness. Her brother Jimmy moved in with her to provide support.
You got a lot of attention. That was last year when you took a year or so, or so, an extended period of time off from your career to help out your sister. What made you decide to do it, and what help did you think you could be to her?
I think anybody in my situation would have basically done the same thing, because when something happens to a family member, I think if you're really close, that just becomes an automatic instinct to you know, attend and to be there for him.
Like his sister, Jimmy McNichol's career had had its highs and lows. He was a successful TV actor in the 1970s, but Jimmy made what he would later call some unwise career choices when he agreed to be in such box office bombs as Escape from El Diablo and Smokey Bites the Dust.
While Jimmy was taking time to take care of his sister Kristy, his career was languishing as well.
In 1983, a year after her sudden departure from the film, Kristy went back and finished Just the Way You Are.
How are the producers going to view Kristy McNichol when they decide should we choose her for a movie? Did you have any fears about that? And have there been any problems?
I did have fears about that, leaving a movie and not finishing it. And not only did I want to finish it, I wanted to especially finish it because of that reason, of getting a bad reputation. So I finished it.
Kristy's next move shocked her fans and the media. She decided to leave the stress of Hollywood and enrolled in the California College of Hair Design, working briefly with her former hairstylist, Giuseppe Franco, in his Beverly Hills salon.
A lot of people thought that this was a pretty bizarre turn for such a successful actress to do. It's almost like Pamela Anderson becoming a mechanic or something.
You have to understand that Chris, because she worked all of her childhood, never had the opportunity to go through college and think, what do I want to do with my life?
Kristy also became a real estate appraiser. She said she liked the work because she could be her own boss.
She could have been a chef. Who cares? The thing is, it made her happy in her head.
That was a time where Chris was thinking, am I working too much? You know, do I need some time to myself? It was at that time in her life where she started really becoming clearer about the fact that she maybe wanted more personal time for herself.
But to people in Hollywood, she seemed to be committing career suicide.
She lived life for a little bit, you know? So she was ready to work. In other words, she took control. Now, I make the decisions.
Kristy made the decision to go back to making movies, starring in the 1986 film Dream Lover, because she admired the work of its director, Alan Pakula.
It's a heavy film. It's nothing like anything I've ever done. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. It's a psychological thriller.
Okay.
And it dealt with a lot of things that were just mind-blowing.
The reviews for Dream Lover were scathing, to say the least.
One reviewer from TV Guide called the film laughable and astonishing in its ineptitude. It also stated that although Kristy was a good actress, she was given nothing to do.
What she did is she went from the A-list into some kind of, you know, mid-world where you didn't really know where she was. And maybe she popped up here and there.
She was acting, but she was acting very sporadically. She was making very specific choices about her career and what she wanted to do.
In 1988, at the age of 26, Kristy decided to try something she had never done before. She took on the challenge of being in front of a live audience on a weekly sitcom called Empty Nest.
She walked into a form that was totally new, that was comedy, that was sitcom, in front of 200 people once a week. And the amount of pressure to learn 45 pages of dialogue and know which jokes, when to hit the jokes, know your blocking, and not forget a thing in front of 200 people is staggering.
Kristy played Officer Barbara Weston, and Grease's Dinah Manoff played her sister Carol. After finding it hard to make it on their own, both women have come back home to live with their widowed pediatrician father, played by Richard Mulligan.
One of the biggest surprises for me regarding the acting abilities of the cast was Kristy McNichol. Coming from the world of drama, that doesn't always translate well to the comedic form. And after the first week or two, it was as if she'd been doing it her whole life. She just had that chameleon ability.
Maybe this will calm her down. No, Barbara, not like that. You have to test it first to see if it's the right temperature.
Kristy came from just a natural place, and she let the words themselves and the attitudes themselves be funny, rather than leaning into the joke, as we say, or trying to hit the joke, and that would be funny, which was very refreshing.
NBC's Empty Nest drew a 31% share in the ratings. Kristy was once again a hit with critics and audiences alike. In the eyes of the media, Kristy McNichol had succeeded in staging a comeback, but she was about to stage a staggering disappearing act.
If you're sitting around at dinner and you say, you know, Kristy McNichol, people say, you know, where is she? Whatever happened to her?
Your new Energy Star qualified Kenmore lead is ready to go.
So, you're just gonna dump the old one into the ocean somewhere?
Dylan?
Actually, Dylan, Sears joined forces with the EPA to make sure it's recycled the right way.
That's rad.
It is rad. It's called responsible appliance disposal.
So it's rad literally?
Literally.
Sears, the only retailer recognized by the EPA for responsible appliance disposal. Get 50% off all Kenmore wall ovens. Thank you for making Sears Energy Star Partner of the Year. Sears, life well spent.
Welcome to the Clorox 2 Stain Research Facility. Please proceed to the viewing platform. Watch tough stains disappear right before your eyes with Clorox 2 Stain Fighter and Color Booster. See for yourself. Lose the stains, keep the color. One bottle of Clorox 2 takes care of 33 loads. Tide Stain Release only does 11. Find Clorox 2 next to the Clorox Bleach.
Want a 4-star hotel at a 2-star price? Go to Hotwire.com. When 4-star hotels have unsold rooms, they use Hotwire to fill them. So you get them at ridiculously low prices.
HOTWIRE, Hotwire.com.
Our new low price on Vonage World is going to blow you away. For a limited time, just $14.99 a month gets you unlimited calling to the U.S. and more than 60 countries around the globe. Go to Vonage.com and switch today. No startup costs, no access codes, just free unlimited calling around the world. It's all just $14.99 a month. But this offer ends soon, so go to Vonage.com now or call 1-877-4VONAGE. Vonage. Sounds good.
If you love fresh garden tomatoes but hate tending a garden, then get off the ground and grow your tomato plants upside down with a topsy-turvy tomato planter. No bending, no digging, no weeding. Topsy-turvy is available at retail locations everywhere.
I went into one of those dollar stores the other day to buy a pencil, and guess how much it cost? $2. Not no math whiz, but it seems to me the money doesn't go as far as it used to. With Denny's new 2, 4, 6, 8 value menu, you can get 16 different meals for $2, $4, $6, and $8. So $2 could get you a biscuit with gravy and an egg, or a pencil. For $4, you can get an everyday value slam and one of those rubber gnomes that go on top of the pencil. Choice is clear, unless you're really into gnomes and pencils, and then saving money is the least of your problems. Thank you, and good morning.
I looked over
he's coming toward me. I was terrified. He was yelling at me. All of a sudden,
Everything went black.
That's when a sledgehammer hit me on the head.
He ripped my face off.
he's chopping with that piece of glass.
He pulled my head back and slit my throat.
Blood went everywhere. If I die, nobody's gonna know who did this.
I will not die tonight.
I survived.
I Survived. Sunday at 9 on Bio. Get up close and personal with the world's most fascinating people. Go to bio.com/shop for exclusive DVDs, books, and more. Real life, unfiltered.
In many ways, Kristy McNichol's career had been like a roller coaster ride. After receiving so much critical acclaim as a teenager, it looked like her career was over at the age of 20, after she was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. From then on, Kristy chose to be in fewer and fewer projects, until at the age of 26, she made her comeback on the hit NBC sitcom Empty Nest. But not all of her fans welcomed her.
There was a time where we had to have extra security on stage because there were threats on her life. She had a terrible run of some sick individuals that wanted to stalk her, chase her, meet her.
Kristy's stalkers were never caught or identified by the police.
And yet through all of that, she would show up at work and be ready to go and be Kristy, but behind that veneer, there had to have been a tremendous amount of fear.
Then, on a vacation from taping the show in 1992, Kristy had another big scare. She was scuba diving in Hawaii when her air tank ran out. Kristy was 30 feet below the surface. She managed to swim to safety, but she reported having a near-death experience.
What that did is it made her reevaluate her life. Think about what was important, what was necessary, and what she didn't want to do.
Kristy was becoming increasingly dissatisfied with her life. Back at work, her coworkers noticed the change.
She did not look like the Kristy that I knew and cared for so much. She was very, very pale and looked like she hadn't slept in a long time. I knew that something was weighing on her mind very, very heavily.
6 months after her scuba diving accident, and after 4 years of playing Barbara Weston, Kristy announced in 1992 at the age of 30 that she was walking away from Empty Nest.
She had a 2-year guarantee for a huge amount of money that she walked away from. Not a lot of people would have done that, but then again, that was Kristy's character, you know?
It really was about Chris wanting more time for Chris and getting to a point where she just was not happy with the pressure of the business and doing a regular series.
When she left the show, she was very gracious about it, and she just said that she didn't want to have the pressure anymore of doing the show, which we understood, and we released her from her contract.
That was the beginning, I think, of the end of her career.
Kristy retreated from Hollywood, but this time she made it clear to the media that she had been suffering from bipolar disorder. Kristy also stated she was tired of the stress and pressure of show business.
The truth of the matter is that most of the decisions that Chris has made in her life and in her career have almost very little to do with anything medical. It has to do with her making a decision of what's going on with her spiritually and emotionally.
What most people don't recognize is when you get older and you become an adult, there has to be some price to pay for not having a normal progression in your childhood. And I think eventually that fame, the workload, having worked for 30 straight years just proved to be not what she wanted out of life.
Kristy stayed out of the public eye until 1995, when she returned after a 2-year absence for the farewell episode of Empty Nest.
It was her way of saying that she still cares about all of us, and it was actually very emotional having her return.
Since her farewell performance on Empty Nest, Kristy McNichol has not appeared on camera.
Kristy didn't want to act. Let me take a little break. Let me do something else.
She's really vanished from the spotlight since 1995. She's done voiceover work. She did voiceover for Invasion America, which was a TV series, animated.
She does a tremendous amount of work for charities, and she loves working with charitable organizations that involve children, because she's a big kid.
One of Kristy's favorite charities is called Ride On, which gives horseback riding lessons to children and adults with disabilities. She has also worked with the Help Group, which provides education and counseling for needy children.
She was so careful about, how she invested her money that she is in a position in her life today that she never has to work again.
Kristy spends much of her time with friends and family.
To this day, Kristy and Jimmy are still very close, and Jimmy is actually trying to rebuild himself in the entertainment industry. A real passion of his is saving the environment, working with environmental causes. He's married, he has children.
To this date, Kristy McNichol has not married and has not publicly confirmed any personal relationships since her youth. She continues to decline any on-camera appearances or interviews.
Who would do well by studying the trajectory